Sure, although I should say that compared to Dr. Paul Seelbach, I would defer to Paul Seelbach is a faculty member at where I went to school at the School of Natural Resources and Environment. He is one of the leading scientists in the field of water resources management, and there are very few people in the state or really the country that know this area as well as him, and he's really the mastermind behind that tool. I think that the water assessment tool that's really been, what, 3-4 years now in the making is groundbreaking, exactly as you said. It's probably the best attempt to date in any state in the Great Lakes region to use science first and foremost to guide water withdrawal decisions. Not have those decisions based on politics, economics, the relative power of different parties, but really put the science and the health of the water system first and foremost in the decision-making process. The Great Lakes Compact, as you said, while it takes a broad view towards protecting the Great Lakes, it leaves the individual decisions as to how to best manage water withdrawals up to the states. And Michigan is really a leader in this regard, in that Michigan is looking at implementing a state statute when it passes the compact. So that way both water users and people concerned with water protection know what they're going to be getting out of the compact when it's passed. Although we should make very clear, I think, if it wasn't said so already, that there is tremendous bipartisan support for the compact itself in the Michigan legislature, led by you, but there are a lot of people standing behind you supporting that compact as well. And just because it hasn't passed yet, people shouldn't take that to mean that there are people who don't support it. I think the support for the compact is quite broad.
Yes, and I appreciate your saying that, because some people have said, well, why haven't you passed it yet? Michigan should have been first, and probably in many respects we should have been first, because we have the most to lose and the most to gain. My Michigan map here, because we are surrounded, with the exception of the very bottom of the state, by the Great Lakes water. But we also wanted to be first in passing a comprehensive water withdrawal law, because we know that's critical. Again, because we have so much Great Lakes water surrounding us, it's critical to our success as a state. Whether it's our farming community, our agricultural and agribusiness community, our tourism community obviously has to have not only quantities of water, but quality of water too. And then our manufacturing community, which some people forget about or maybe don't know about, but there's a tremendous amount of water used by almost every manufacturer in this state, whether you're manufacturing cars, whether you're manufacturing car parts, whether you're manufacturing and dealing with food products, where you're bringing them all together and cooking them or washing them and then bottling and canning them, bottling our water, bottling our beer and our pop, our soda drinks, the baby food manufacturers. So we have a lot of manufacturing that depends heavily on large amounts of water also.
Yeah, it's I think when people both in Michigan and outside of Michigan think about the major business and the economy of Michigan, of course they think about the auto companies and manufacturing, and that's heavily water dependent. What some people don't appreciate is the incredibly diverse agricultural economy we have in Michigan. A wide range of agricultural goods are grown in Michigan, and that's because of the abundant supply of water. Similarly, tourism is a tremendous part of our economy here, and I'd like it to continue to grow as a part of our economy. And people aren't going to be coming from Chicago or places further than that to see our beautiful Great Lakes if they're polluted or if the lake levels are down. And so protecting Great Lakes water is critically important for Michigan's economy. With that said, of course, it would have been nice if Michigan had passed the compact first, but some other states beat us to it. But we still have the chance, maybe, if not to be the first, to do it best. And by that I mean not just pass the compact, but while we pass the compact, pass comprehensive water withdrawal legislation, as you proposed, based on science, implementing this water assessment tool. And the water assessment tool really is a tremendous advance in both policy and scientific management of water. What it would do is it would give water users the ability to know before they dig, before they drill, before they spend money on a site, whether or not there's enough water in this watershed or from this water body to meet their needs without harming the environment. The concept behind it, I think, is fairly intuitive and common sense. We have an abundant supply of water in Michigan. We're one of the most water-rich states. There is enough water here to meet our economic needs for new businesses, new growth, our continued agricultural economy, tourism, etc. All that's required is for us to use that water well. Essentially, that means using water where it's available and where it's abundant, not where it's limited or where it's in short supply in the state. And when you do use it with common sense conservation. And I think if we do those two things, we can really have our cake and eat it too here. We're in the fortunate position of being the Great Lakes state. We have an abundant supply of water, but we still need to use it carefully and have science guide our decisions.
And that's the real challenge, is to make sure that we keep the economy moving ahead in Michigan. And even though it's not been what it should be, it's still moving ahead. And we need to use the water prudently and be able to have our businesses continue, but also, on the other hand, make sure we don't cause an adverse resource impact.
Yeah. There's another angle to this, too, that a legal angle, which I should explain a little bit. I think it's pretty safe to say that everybody in Michigan feels very strongly that we shouldn't be exporting our water or diverting our water to the Southwest, Atlanta, which is now experiencing major droughts, California, Las Vegas, other countries. In order for, and I completely agree with that feeling and that sentiment, I share it wholeheartedly, but in order for us to have the legal authority, really the legal high road to tell other parts of the country, no, you can't have our Great Lakes water, we need to show that we're using it well here at home. We can't tell other parts of the country, you can't use our Great Lakes water, and then waste it here or not put any thought or science into how we use the water here. So in order for us to really, I think, have the moral authority as well as the legal authority to tell other parts of the country that we're not going to open up the Great Lakes for diversions, we need to pass the type of legislation which you're proposing to better manage and better use our water here, take water conservation more seriously, and let science guide some of our decisions about when and where we withdraw water.
So basically it gives us a higher standing in the courts if we do that. Is that not correct?
Absolutely, and I think a higher moral standing as well. This way it's not, do as I say, not as I do, but we're walking the talk, so to speak.
Now talk to me a little bit about what happens assuming all the 8 states adopt the compact. And the 2 Canadian provinces, I believe, have already done it, in a little bit different form because they have a little different form of government than we have in the United States. But now what happens next, assuming that all the 8 states adopt it?
Well, I think I'm about ready to assume that all of the 8 states are going to adopt it.
I am too, Noah. We'll think positively.
We have to think positive, and I don't think it's overly optimistic at this point. I think the deal being reached in Wisconsin is a watershed moment, to use a bad pun, and I think we're going to see the compact get through the remaining states after that. We've got some obstacles to overcome in Ohio, but I think overall the support is there. Then the next question is we have to get approval from Congress, and that's where the politics are quite different. Everybody in the Great Lakes region supports protection of the Great Lakes and preventing the Great Lakes from being diverted to other parts of the country. The politics in the U.S. Congress are obviously very different. The Great Lakes, while they have a fairly influential delegation in Congress, we certainly don't have a majority, and the numbers aren't on our side. And with a lot of the Sun Belt states and southwestern states growing, both in population and in political power, it's not a foregone conclusion that Congress is going to approve this Great Lakes Compact. That being said, Congress does have a long history of approving regional compacts. The Great Lakes are by no means unique in looking to protect a regional resource with a compact. Most of the other major water systems of the country have a compact in place, like the Colorado River system, which feeds everything from Denver to Los Angeles, the Delaware River Basin Compact, which supplies water to New York City and Philadelphia. And so there's a tradition essentially in Congress, a custom of giving the states some deference. That being said, I think we're in a little bit of a time crunch.